support of Dearborn County's efforts to ensure non-discrimination and equal access to all citizens, the county gathers statistical data regarding participants in county activities. Therefore, we have provided a voluntary Title VI public involvement survey for the meeting. You are not required to complete this survey. However, the form is anonymous and will be used solely for the purpose of monitoring our compliance with Title VI and ADA.
Thank you, Andrew. Seeing there's no old business, we'll move right to new business, and Nicole Daly, Director of Planning and Zoning.
Good evening, everybody. As you said, Nicole Daly, Director of Planning and Zoning. This evening I bring to you requests for your approvals. As most of you know, we've been working on this. Now we're going for. We actually started as a new terminology pre-COVID. So we were well on the way of working on this with a small committee first prior to COVID. So we're in the fourth year of this for zoning ordinance updates, which subsequently would affect the zoning map for Dearborn County. So the Planning Commission met on January 22nd. They took a vote to forward the proposed changes for the zoning ordinance and the zone map as they had presented at that meeting, for the favorable recommendation for both to the county commissioners, and that was with a vote of 5 for the favorable recommendation and 2 abstained, and those were both the same votes for the ordinance changes and the map. And just as a background on it, this process started. Dearborn County's had 1 agricultural district and 1 residential district since 1965. And trying to make some updates that are a compromise with the development that will come to Dearborn County, as well as to help with the preservation of the agricultural areas in Dearborn County, and some of the history with that of Dearborn County. In doing this job, we know that development is going to occur, but we also know that some of the agricultural history for Dearborn County is just as important. So we worked on doing that in that sense. And first, I'd like to take a look at the text. And we went through and did the revisions. We created an agricultural district, which is, even though the name is the same, it is different than the current agricultural district. Agricultural homestead, which we kind of mimicked and start with as the current agricultural district. We have R1 proposed and R2 and R3, which is low, medium, and high density. Those are the districts we started with, and the permitted and conditional uses in there, also with the development standards of those districts. Also with those came out of some additional changes into what we claim as Article 25, with some development standards on additional requirements. When you get into some of the more defined uses, keeping of animals is one of the bigger ones that was in that section. And then we get into some additions to the definitions of the zoning ordinance, and that is to be able to add definitions that have not been in there previously with some of these changes. So those are the, and what you had in your packet, those are the changes that we are requesting to the Board of Commissioners for this evening. If you guys have any questions in regards to those text changes.
Questions? I did not. I circled the board. I'm aware. Andy, do you have any kind of statements that we need to do?
What's the ordinance number?
What's the ordinance number?
It is 2024-003.
So 2024-003 would be the ordinance to implement the zoning ordinance amendments as described by Nicole. By statute, the public hearing that was required to be held was held by the planning commission as indicated. And then notice was sent out a week ago that the commissioners would be considering this proposal under Indiana Code 36-7-4-607. So there's actually, as far as tonight, not required to be a public hearing. Again, the public hearing that's required to be held in this process is the public hearing in front of the planning commission, which they did this month. But it's your own meeting, so I know there are people here. But this is just that, right now, we're just doing the amendments to the text, the zoning ordinance amendments right now. That's all that she's presented so far.
And there'll be two separate ordinances as we work with Andy to create, with the text and the maps that would be separate.
And I believe at the last meeting we had, the people that were present, walked away, satisfied with the, how they were being rezoned or remained the same in your case, planning council. So, there's not a lot to change, and people who still don't understand what, residential agriculture means, it means that if you are currently doing agriculture, you can continue to do agriculture forever if you want to. Well, let's say 200 years from now, your heirs want to sell the property, it's already zoned residential, and they could then go ahead and sell it without coming to the planning commission to have it rezoned. So it's an option. But again, I want to stress, whatever you're doing now, as far as agriculture is concerned, you can continue to do that forever, okay, if that's your desire. So, with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed ordinance to amend the Dearborn County zoning ordinance pursuant to Indiana Code 367-4-607. Mr. Goodman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, so with the zoning ordinance being done now, that would create these new districts, ag, homestead, residential 1, 2, and 3. And so now, since that's been approved, we can move on to the map.
Okay, also within your packet, and on the TV screen, this is the map that has been generated over the years, that has been generated with the Planning Commission meetings, and has been certified as what the Planning Commission approved for favorable recommendation to the board, and looking at the entire county except for those areas that have incorporated into the cities or towns. So this is the map that would then take place over the old map, and with those additional districts.
But once again, you say it does not change. If they're agriculture now, they remain agriculture.
Their zoning may change, but if they want to continue as an ag operation, they can continue even if their zoning were to change. At the last Plan Commission meeting, everyone that presented, I think, had, was ultimately, as Jim stated, left happy because there were a lot of parcels that would change.
I think one of the other items with the biggest one was for the agricultural uses plus for the keeping of animals. That was changed with the text, and we changed it to where it was specific to the lot size and not specific to the district, because that's where we have the issue. So it was changed to 1 to 5 acres, and really no matter what district you have. So if it's agricultural and you are on 1 or 2 acres and you have too many animals for that acreage to sustain, you would be in violation as well as anybody in residential. So, it wasn't a call on whether you were agricultural use or not, it was how you were using the animals.
Yeah, I understand that.
All right, questions?
So this is ordinance 2024-004 is what it would be, with the zone map. And there are a lot of people here, I didn't know, Jim, if you wanted to let people speak, but I want people to understand that the commissioners cannot amend this map, okay? This map has received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission. The commissioners can only give an up-down vote on that. yea or nay. They cannot change it. The zoning text can be changed and sent back to Plan Commission for final approval. The zone map cannot. Okay? So it's ordinance 2024-004, an ordinance to amend the Dearborn County zone map pursuant to Indiana Code 36-7-4-608.
Al? So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Moving on. Dave,
Yes, sir.
if you would please, our Veteran Service Officer.
Thank you for the time today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Dave Kernitz. I'm your Veteran Service Officer for Dearborn County. And once a year, I like to come before the commissioners just to give them a year in review on things that we worked on and may have accomplished during 2023, and also an outlook for this year, okay? Our mission has not changed. The Veteran Service Office is here to support the over 3,700 local veterans and their family members by providing professional VA benefits claims processing, offering guidance and assistance with state and federal VA benefits, providing safe and reliable patient transportation to VA medical facilities, promoting local community resources, and supporting veterans of all services. Our promise to these veterans and their family members is to be treated with dignity and respect that they have earned and deserve, determine the needs of the veterans and their family members by delivering benefits according to their eligibility, and provide caring and compassionate service. Some 2023 highlights. The office provided several benefits presentations to local veterans organizations throughout the year. Specifically, we went to Lawrenceburg American Legion Post 239, St. Leon Legion Post 464, and the New Alcis American Legion Post 452. Whenever I do these benefits presentations, they're always very well received, and I think it's a big step in helping veterans and their family members understanding the benefits that are available to them. I attended the grand opening of the new Dearborn County VA clinic. If there are any veterans here that have not yet gone up to see the new clinic, I would suggest that you do so. It's very impressive. The new clinic will offer a higher standard of care through state-of-the-art technology and provide additional medical professionals to serve our veterans. Once a year, we have an annual North Dearborn Library benefits presentation that continues to provide valuable information to our local veterans in the community. This program just continues to grow and add community resources, such as resources from the American Legion Post 464, Victoria Dirge, who's my CapTel hearing impaired telephone representative, and the program is now in its 4th year and just continues to grow every year. I attended a 2-day service officer training with the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs in Indianapolis to maintain my service accreditations with the American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, and the National Association of County Veteran Service Officers. We continue to provide an outstanding transportation service to our veterans so they're able to attend the VA medical appointments. And I can't tell you how highly regarded that service is to our veterans in Dearborn County. I continue to receive positive feedback almost on a weekly basis from the veterans that we provide transportation to. I work closely with the Dearborn County VA Clinic in identifying veterans in need of services, financial, housing, benefits, and providing local resources. So I do put together a small set of metrics just to kind of measure year over year the type of activities that we do. So in 2023, we had 688 office visits, 541 benefit claims processed, We did 514 patient transportations, which is an average on a month of about 43 per month. And our annual budget, year over year, stayed pretty much flat between 2022 and 2023. On the next metric page, you can see exponentially the growth of the business, really. Obviously, in 2020, we had the COVID, and also 2021. We were still dealing with that, so the numbers were pretty reflective of that, but you can see going into 2022 and 2023, they really started to jump up year over year. So we saw a 21% year over year increase in office visits in 2023, and a 28% increase in VA benefit claims processed. On an average, we did 45 claims per month. And I say we, and this is important for people to understand. I am the only person in the office, but if it wasn't for the support of the commissioners and everybody in this room that works in the county courthouse here, I would not be able to do the things that I do for our veterans. So I just want to say thank you for the support.
Well, I think we want to say thank you to you too, Dave, for all the work you do.
I
It's
appreciate
outstanding, and the support that you give to the veterans, and you're yourself a veteran.
Thank
And
you.
we salute you and all the rest of the veterans in Dearborn County.
Well,
And as far as that goes, everywhere.
if you're a veteran and you live in Dearborn County, you're very fortunate to have the people and the support in this courthouse looking after you, because I don't ask for much that I don't get when it comes to veterans, and I really appreciate that.
Can you tell us a little bit about the new facility and what they do offer? It is a pretty phenomenal facility.
Yes, sir, and specifically, no, I really can't. I mean, I'm not that plugged into all the resources that they do have. I do know that I'm a patient there, so,
But I guess specifically, that has it kept you from having to go to Cincinnati a few times?
absolutely, that's where I was born. So, I go there for a number of things, but, they have an eye clinic now open, available.
The specialty doctors are coming into that facility more than they did on 50.
Right,
So the services are improving.
right. And when I said bringing in more medical professionals, that's exactly what I was referring to.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people, if they needed a podiatrist, they had to go down to Cincinnati. Well, I don't think you have to do that anymore, so I don't know if they fully have ramped up yet. I mean, they've only been open about 6 months now.
Right.
But, that is the plan, to bring more specialty resources back to the clinic, which would be a great benefit to our local veterans who don't have to drive to Cincinnati.
That's great.
Just a couple of things on an outlook for this year. Obviously, continue to provide a high level of service to our county veterans and family members. Identify and advocate for local resources to provide services to the veteran community for homelessness, home repairs, food insecurity, and financial assistance. I plan to expand visits to neighboring county veteran service offices, VA facilities, and local resources to network and build strong working relationships across these organizations, and more broadly communicate throughout the county the value and purpose of the Veteran Service Office through outreach opportunities. We've got a couple coming up in March. One's gonna be during our district service officer meeting that's gonna be held at the St. Leon American Legion post. And then the week after that, we have a VA suicide prevention specialist coming in to do a learn at lunch on veteran suicide prevention techniques. So, more and more, we're getting opportunities to expand our reach and educate the people in the local community, which is always a good thing. I still am astounded by the number of veterans that I talk to and see in the office that, you know, they just didn't know. They just didn't know these things were available to them. And, I was kind of that way myself, until I got this position, quite honestly. So, again, thank you for your time.
Just hold on, I've got a couple of things. First, are there any veterans here? Please stand. one veteran. We're seeing more and more of that. The number of veterans in our population is declining. We need to thank them, and sir, I salute you. Not to disregard Dave as a veteran either. Also, Dave, there's a story. Somebody gave you an ugly flag for your office. Can you tell us about that? Who was it and what was the flag?
I received an Air Force flag, so.
And who was that from?
Oh, gosh, you caught me off guard. I know I have a note in my office, but I don't remember the name.
An Air Force veteran was in your office.
It was, yeah.
Saw that there was not an Air Force flag and decided to
Brought one to the
present one to the office.
Mr. Probst is making that issue because he's Army.
And we cannot have an Air Force flag in our office without an Army flag. Dave, if you'll come forward. Back up so these two can look on. Okay, we need to get this right side up. Hold that side.
Sure.
It is my pleasure to present this to the Veteran Service Office. Oh, excuse me, my corner was rolled, the photographer corrects me.
We'll have a place of honor in the office, for sure.
And we're looking for 3 more, the other 3 services.
Yes, we're certainly not disregarding the other services. It was just, the gentleman appreciated my help and brought me an Air Force flag, so I thought the right thing to do was display it in the office.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you all for
Appreciate
the
it.
time.
All right, next up is a resolution to accept the transfer from Dearborn County Jail Holding Corp.
This, little house cleaning item came up when the LCD did their recent election, and we found that the old new jail land is still in the Jail Holding Corporation's name, which was administratively dissolved 20 years ago. Former County Commissioner Rocky Schroeder is the sole, this is a bit morbid, sole surviving director of the Jail Holding Corporation. And he was nice enough to come down to the office and execute a warranty deed so we could get that cleaned up. The county had an option to purchase the land. When the bonds were paid off, it fell away. The Jail Holding Corporation was set up by Bill Ewan. Bill passed away, rather quickly from cancer, and it just never got taken care of. So it was just something we found here recently. Again, Rocky has executed the warranty deed. So we would just do a resolution number, Connie?
First one
of the year, 2024-001, resolution accepting the land transfer from the Dearborn County Jail Holding Corporation.
Okay, Mr. Probst, would you make a motion as presented by Mr. Bodnar?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next something for us to sign?
And that warranty deed's there too, Connie.
Okay.
Don't confuse me.
Sorry.
So we go ahead and record that.
Okay, next up is the proclamation for Lucky Racer Day, February 24, 2024. Are you presenting on this? Because
Yeah.
that sounds like a cartoon show I used to watch.
Well, it's not very cartoony, and it's
I
kind
know.
of cool. I was approached, or I got a phone call and an email from a Chris Schur, and she is the director and founder of Lucky Racer, and it was established in honor of her father, Doug Lukey, and Lukey transfers to her as Lucky, so that's where it came up with the Lucky Racer. And this is a scholarship program, and it's let me find it again. It's a junior ski racing scholarship program, and it's open to juniors and adults with or without special needs, but it's more than a scholarship program, because as she says, it does more by building champions off and on the slopes. It's associated with, breast cancer awareness. She is associated with the Operation We Care for the Troops, as well as the Special Olympics. And so what she's asking is for the commissioners to do a proclamation stating that February 24th would be Lucky Racer Day in honor of the Lucky Racer, program, which is going to be taking place during that day. And she'd love to have one of the commissioners come and give the proclamation to her on that day, but if you can't make it, then she's fine with me just,
I'll make that day.
okay, I'll make sure she knows
Find
that.
out what time.
Okay. And,
This is on here.
Andy, do you wanna read the proclamation? Do you think we need to read the proclamation?
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and, Mr. Goodman, make the, motion to approve the proclamation for Lucky Racer Day, February 2024, as presented by Mrs. Hayden.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So I'll have you all sign it, and then, I have a frame up in my office, and I'll put it in the frame and give it back to you, so you can present it.
Just get the time.
Yeah, so let's get the signature.
Thank you.
And I'll put a gold seal on it as well.
Okay. She's not here, is she?
No. I think she lives in Fort Wayne.
Really? All right, this one must be, is Todd here for this, or are you presenting?
No,
for him?
I'm being taught again. Let me get my work around me and figure out what exactly I'm doing.
It's the completion of Lower Dearborn Road slide.
Yeah, so the Lower Dillsboro Road, which is project number 1, the east section, is complete. And what you'll be signing is an acceptance letter that will go back, and then it'll just, it's like the finishing, paperwork to get this to the state and the Indiana Department of Transportation, stating that you are aware that it's complete and that this is kind of closing it out.
Okay, it's just, putting a period on it, we're done.
Exactly.
All right, Mr. Pro, motion to accept the, completion of Lower Dillsboro Road slide project as presented by Mrs. Hayden.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That is really a good job they did out there.
Yeah, and it needed to be done. We're not done, by the way. All three of us signed?
Yes.
Okay. All right, do you have anything for us, Ms. Hayden?
I do not.
Ms. Fromhold, the usual, claims?
Yes.
And just make sure everybody's aware, I've said it a few times, and Mr. Probst goes over these claims with a fine tooth comb to make sure everything is proper.
I don't know about fine tooth comb. but
Well, I had to throw that.
I review them.
Yeah, I know.
Did you vote on
Oh, good.
No.
Okay, motion to approve claims, Mr. Probst?
So moved.
All in favor?
Right.
Motion carries. Now we'll do payments.
Do payroll.
Let's do payroll. Mr. Goodman, motion to approve payroll.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Motion carries. Minutes?
February fifth?
Okay, motion, Mr. Probst, to approve, February fifth, 2024, Board of Commissioners meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Motion carries. Mr. Bonjus, do you have anything for us?
Do you want to do the?
You wanna go ahead and I'll just give it to you?
Yeah, we have a resolution, another resolution, so this would be 002, it's to transfer personal property to the Morse Hill, Sparta Township Fire and EMS. There are two Panasonic Toughbooks, which are laptops and docking stations that go with them. I think it's been a couple of years now, it's kind of this program where once these laptops are replaced by the sheriff's department, rather than just junking them, the sheriff's department reaches out to local EMS, fire, local communities to see if they can be utilized by them rather than just junked. So again, Morse Hill and Sparta Township Fire and EMS can utilize these two laptops. So this resolution 2024-002 would authorize the transfer of the personal property to that fire and EMS department.
And personal property being laptops, so would you,
Motion to approve.
thank you very much.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Motion carries. It's good use of the, equipment that we have. Mr. Probst, Commissioner comments, if any?
Highway Department did a really good job with the, recent storm. We're fortunate to have them, and Tim's coordination to make sure that all occurs. Hats off to the Highway Department, and that's all I've got.
I'd just like to echo Mr. Prost's comments.
Okay, well, we can all agree on that, and I know for a fact that they worked, more than 12 hours to clear the roads and make sure that they were safe for everyone, so. People realize we have 525 miles of roads, and, a staff of about 25 people maybe, the highway department right
A
now.
little less than that.
Okay, and they did one hell of a job doing, clearing the roads and trying to make everything safe for everyone as quickly as possible, so, again, hats off to those guys. Do we have any late arrival information? Okay, hearing none, any public comment? Hearing none, Mr. Probst, okay, motion to adjourn.
No.
Yeah.
Public comment.
Oh, somebody say something?
Yeah, sir, if you
Oh, okay.
come up to the podium.
Sorry, I missed you.
Sounds like you was already voted through the zoning that we were told.
What are your names, please?
I'm Tom Diener, and these are my sons.
I'm Steve Coon.
I'm Mike Coon. But we're concerned about the zoning of property we own on Diener Ridge. It's proposed as an R1, and it's been an agriculture forever. And we think it still ought to remain an agriculture. And
We was told when we come down there and talk to her that we have to come talk to the commissioners. So, and then the gentleman.
Nicole, how are they currently zoned?
They were, I believe they were doing agricultural. If you would like, I could bring it up on the map. The majority of their property is either agricultural homestead or agricultural. The portion of one of their parcels, between Gaynor and North Dearborn, and with it being, if you guys are familiar with the area, I'll bring it up, but they are between the, also, I think they have road frontage along,
White Hill
White
Road.
Hill on that. I believe it is 60 acres, is that, or the two, there's two parcels actually with them.
76 plus.
76 acres there. So with the R1 district and where it was located in between some, subdivisions, that was what it got as the designation. But as I told them before, I believe they use it currently for pasture. Even if they wanted to put the animals on it for pasture use, as far as that, because of the way we, changed the keeping of animals from the start to the end of this process, that it would not impact them keeping the animals on that land. And that's where I kind of left it as far as what the current use of it is versus the R1 proposal.
The thing that kind of concerns me is, we got livestock, which is we got pasture, we raise corn, we raise soybeans, we had wheat there last year, we got hay there. So it's heavily intensive farming. So I know you said, what you stated about, residential, you could farm for 200 years. But if you really go by the wording on here from the agriculture district versus the residential district, the residential district, it talks about garden plots. These fields are garden plots. And the terminology here, if you go to the agriculture district with keeping of animals, and agriculture trade, sales of hay, grain, feed, other farm and garden supplies, animal husbandry, hay baling, raising of livestock, range and grassland pastures, it fits the agriculture.
I think it also fits, and Nicole keeps me honest, that fits
Oh,
agriculture.
sorry, let me bring, I thought I connected to the TV.
And you can keep doing what you're doing now, even with the change, it's called a pre-existing non-conforming use, so you can continue to do, nobody's saying you can't do anything.
I understand it. The thing that concerns me is why can't it just stay there? Because if we ever want to build a building, a cattle building there, then it throws the whole different scenario if it's listed residential versus agriculture district. Or the agriculture homestead. I mean, basically they took, Gaynor Ridge and just kind of split it looks to me. So residential on one side, the homesteads on the other side. To me, during some of the meetings, it wasn't real clear on the mapping and stuff. That's why we're here.
Wait for it to bring stuff up.
Yeah, okay.
This larger piece here and this piece here are the two pieces they're talking about. And then as far as, let me explain that there. So they are gonna be within this area here of those two parcels. This is Gaynor here, and I can bring up the closer version of, with the parcels on it, of Logan Township.
Andy, I think part of the question is how do we reassure them about the continued agricultural availability, use?
I think it's a record-keeping thing on our side of things to make sure that we know that it's called pre-existing non-conforming use. you can't use zoning to get somebody to stop doing something. If you could do that, I can think of at least one business in this town that would not be there anymore.
What about Steve's question about the building?
It's the what if that I can't answer for him. So if they were to put a pole barn on there to keep, if they moved cattle over there, they can still do that in an R1.
Even
Now-
if it's even if it's like a cattle building, a finishing building, we wanted to put there, or.
What do you mean by finishing, like a butchering,
No,
or like feeding out?
Feeding out cattle.
So as long as it doesn't do anything with the state code for you to feed the, where we would have to follow state regulations. And what we do have with the keeping of animals like that is there are setbacks no matter what district you have, for, buildings that keep animals like you talked about.
You're saying regardless of what the zoning is.
Yeah. So when you have the keeping of, when you specifically have something that is built just for what he's describing, there are setbacks from property lines because of what comes with that anyway, even an agricultural district. So they wouldn't, even if they were in an agricultural district and they wanted to put a pole barn for that purpose next to their neighbor's property, where if their house was there 30 feet away from the property line, they would not be able to do that anyway, because that's why the ordinance was built that way, because it could potentially smell and everything like that. So they still have to follow certain guidelines for the setbacks.
Well, the only thing I want to say, I've known this family for 35 years, and they are truly farmers.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing it longer than they've known me. So,
I'm fifth
Yeah.
generation
Yeah.
farmers.
So they can continue doing
I think what I've explained to them is,
you
if
can
it,
continue to do it.
yes, if they go to that, and if they came in and said, we want to do, the confinement of animals, how the state regulates it, and we have to get into the state, then it throws a whole different ballgame in it, because then it wouldn't really matter what the district, because we have to go by the state guidelines as well.
So they-
That-
You're saying nothing that they do now, they can continue to do the same as always.
Mhm.
Why can't we just leave it as agriculture then? What's the big advantage to changing it to that R1?
And a lot of it too, I mean, we had talked before, like, whenever, on other properties that we've come down on concern, subdivisions that are being in, it seemed like there never was a problem that developer was switching agriculture to residential. It seemed like all the subdivisions in the past have changed, so if this is gonna stay in agriculture for our generation and our kids' generations, what's the big deal, just leave it in agriculture? I don't understand why there's gotta be something bigger than that on,
Well, I think the plan commission had a whole process that they went through and criteria that they looked at when doing the maps. And it was a process that went on for 3 years. And they ultimately settled on where the maps were and sent a favorable recommendation. And like I said at the beginning, the commissioners don't even have the authority by statute to change what the plan commission recommended. That's why it ended up yellow instead of green. It was all part of that process that took place over that length of time.
So,
And you guys were at the plan commission for two at the plan commission on January 22nd. But as we were going through did you speak?
No, we didn't know that it got changed.
But you were there. What do you mean you didn't know that it got changed?
Yeah, we was there, but.
we wasn't,
Because if you look at some of the maps aren't clear. Some of the maps weren't clear, is when they went down, they got the information from you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was more defined on the roads and stuff like that. Because if you looked at the generic map, it was very hard to see that.
Mm-hmm.
second day, we came down to your office twice, and we never really got a good map to show where our property was. Until this last time we were down there, and that was after your meeting, so then You said-
But at any point, you could have come down and asked for, like, this is a map that I pulled up from meetings that we've had in the past. This is not a map this was, I actually took this from the one of the November meetings that I prepared maps for the November Plan Commission, so.
I think the key here is that your land as farming land, doesn't matter what color that map says. For the 6th and 7th generations on down, that's your farming land. Until you or a subsequent owner decides to make it residential by putting residences on it. Have I captured that, Andy? I mean, is that?
Yeah, I said at a meeting, one of the 36 meetings, that the county could zone the entire county residential, and if the owners don't want it to be residential, then it won't be residential.
It'll remain as is.
Right. We obviously they didn't do that.
Right.
I don't think we're gonna go any further in your particular instance, but I appreciate your comments. And I hope we've explained it a little bit better.
So can we go back to the zoning department, ask them to rezone it back to R2 or agriculture?
R2 is the other way, I don't think you want to go R2.
Agriculture.
There is a rezone process, yes.
There is a reason for it.
Because that's probably what we'll do.
Yeah, and yeah, their office would be
Mhm.
the way to go with that.
Because down the road, I think what's gonna happen, they're gonna come back and say, well, we were out there hauling manure and people over there in the subdivision, they don't like that. And
You've got precedents.
Well, and your farming operations are protected by state statute. There's a right to farm bill in Indiana that protects. If Russell Byersford, I'll bring it up for Russell, because Russell always brings it up. But there is a state statute that protects farming.
Yep.
And I will tell you that it would be hardcore for our office to take a complaint on manure, because even back in the day when subdivisions were going in areas of agricultural, or closer to agricultural, we specifically had those developers put a statement on there in the, deeds and covenants and restrictions that they know they are buying a tract of land in residential district next to agricultural activities, and they cannot complain if their backyard is up against the farm that's spreading manure. I mean, it was worded, and it was actually being printed on subdivision plaques and being recorded, because we do not take complaints for spreading of manure.
That's right.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank
So,
you.
thank you. Yes, sir, step up to the podium and tell us who you are.
My name's Ron Rourke, Jim Rourke's son, live on 26137 McCann Road. Based on the Gainer's question about the going back and rezoning, we have a kind of an exception, interesting setup of the property where we have a partial that is not residential, it's not farm, it's just woods currently. And we're constricted by, we have a 50-foot right of way. So a driveway couldn't really necessarily go back there unless it's adjusted. There's a lot of things that would have to be adjusted. So I guess my main question is, if we were to approach, to have this process done, how costly is it? How long is the process going? Because I also have family health situations where we are considering some of these hard questions and need to know what's done.
So you're talking about the panhandle
Yeah.
lot.
If you went back to the aerial map, I'd be able to see it better.
Oh, I see it there, it's Ag Homestead.
And then you can see next to it, there's the, kind of the little panhandle that goes back into
This
the,
one,
yes.
Yeah, so it looked like it was Ag Homestead on, yeah, there on the left. Yeah, see it there?
And so,
yeah.
So, what were you wanting to switch it to?
I'm not, I guess I would need to know what it currently is zoned, what's
So-
able to be done with that.
After the change here, it would be agricultural homestead. which allows farming operations and does allow, of the ordinance.
Yes,
Yeah,
this is
she'll
what's
give you
approved.
that.
So you would have, this is agricultural homestead.
Okay. Well, to get specifically, this property, the Woods property, is full of sinkholes. To make it a residential area, to build a road back there, expensive, a lot of issues with the property. So reselling it even could not make it farmable because it's in valleys and sinkholes. One of the discussions that we had was possibly making it a retreat space or something, which would then become a business. So just needing to know, I just need to know the process. I know things are kind of, came into this process really late, but need to know the process.
If you're wanting
the
a
cost
specific
behind it.
process on that, what I would suggest is maybe calling me and we could go over specifically,
Okay.
because if you have a specific
I appreciate
use
that.
in mind, then
Okay.
it's a little easier to go and, back and forth with you
Yeah,
on the
I don't
process.
wanna take up
and
everybody's time. I just wanna make sure it wasn't carved in granite and I would have to.
No, there's, like, it's depending on exactly what you wanna do, there's things that we can figure out a
Okay.
process for you.
All right, thank you very much.
Go on down. Hello, everyone. Christian Vesper from Logan Township.
What's your last name, sir?
Christian Vesper,
Vesper.
Vesper, V as in Victor, ESP as in Paul, ER, Vesper. First I'd like to say, thank you for updating the maps with the roads on it. I requested that at one point in time, and it didn't help. Because then I realized that my property is located in something called an agricultural homestead. So I guess I have two questions. One regarding this and one something that came up from another individual. But when I was reviewing the text, it talks about allowable activities that can occur on agricultural homestead. So one of the caveats that I noticed is that you can have livestock, but for some reason they say that you can't raise insects and worms, for bait and or pet stores or whatnot. So one, I'm just curious why that might be. And two, since I'm also a beekeeper, one of the activities in beekeeping can actually be raising bees to sell to other wannabe beekeepers. So would that fall under the insects and worms restriction or not?
What's your address?
No,
So
it's a different type of, so it would have to be that you're coming in, so they're farm-based, large, commercial farm type setting for those raising and gathering, and not as even if you are doing it on your property, doing it yourself, how many hives do you have?
Well, right now, it's just still a hobby, but, I own some farm property over in northern Kentucky still, but I had some ideas of basically my house kind of being one of the breeding grounds, and then as I get, do splits and other things, move hives into other areas, but I guess technically, in a sense, my business activities would be happening at my place of residence.
Mhm.
So, I don't know exactly where I'd be selling from.
What's the property now?
I think you said he
Ag
looked at the map
homestead?
and had agricultural homestead.
Yeah, it was.
Beehives is permitted in that.
Right, but like I said, and some people say beehives, I think you just have them for honey or whatnot, but I'm saying there's other activities in beekeeping. So when I hear the terminology restricting insects and worms, these are technically insects. So if I'm raising them to sell, would that now be in violation?
A commercial beehive is a conditional use in ag homestead.
So if you got to a commercial level where we look at, you could still have, how we would deem that would be a home occupation. So it is a, business that you would do outside of your home if you had interactions with people, you're on your computer in your home, to where not too many people are gonna notice that you have a business, that you are actually running a business. So where you may have to if you are trading bees, or, I'm not even sure of how you guys, if you're trading or bringing some new supplies, new insects to a certain area to introduce them to an area, that I would deem as their, home occupation, because if I can't tell that you're out there bringing commercial trucks in and bringing, if you have 300 beehives in a small particular area where it's becoming a nuisance,
Right.
that's different. But yeah, if you're,
I'm a responsible keeper, I wouldn't do that in the first place. But I guess part of what my question is,
and I think the insects, when they were talking about that, that's where they're not putting insects to where they're back into nature, they're actually helping nature in that sense. It's going to be a controlled atmosphere in a building where they're actually raising those for sale in a fishing store or in a Walmart, or they're not actually returning it back to nature and letting nature do it.
activities actually occur indoors, so.
It's like most beehives and most beekeepers, they are wanting to actually reintroduce them to the area as
Oh, yeah, that's
a
part of it.
natural stand
I-
instead of.
I've kind of had an idea that maybe I could raise crickets or worms at some point in time, because you don't need a lot of space to necessarily do it, but it can be a viable form of
Yeah,
income.
no, it's more commercial related
Right,
to,
so-
yeah.
So that wouldn't be allowed.
If you're doing a commercial sized building that is keeping these insects and actually doing the production, and you're more commercial, that's commercial stance. There's a difference between you, like I said, if I can't notice that you are running a business, that's what we deem a home occupation.
Okay, well, because when you say like the type of building or whatnot, I don't know what type of building you envision, but I don't think it.
Well, I'm envisioning
requires
it
a lot
as a
of
commercial because you would have more employees than just yourself.
space.
So if you're running a business that takes more employees to be able to produce those insects or worms to multiple distribution areas, you're distributing to multiple areas in the state, then someone's going to have an impact on the character of the area.
Okay. And then, someone was mentioning, I'm trying to remember what it was now. Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'm not complete thought on this. Can talk about everything else and start to forget. Oh, yeah. Gentleman was talking about, usage, they want to keep it agriculture. He mentioned whether or not he might want to put up a type of structure. So could I just get a little more clarity on that in general? Does that mean that basically, if it's owned, you're operating under an agricultural pretext, and you need structures or fencing or whatever it might be in order to keep doing, your occupation? Would the structures then be governed under what's allowable under agriculture at that time? Or is there some new guidance that might say the new zoning definitions actually now supersede some of these prior things? So is it basically if you're operating agricultural, you then can do anything on your property that was allowable for agriculture then without any question, or is there potential?
Well, so you're getting into a couple of things where we can possibly call the office, but we require permits for any structure. The zoning department requires a permit for any structure, any improvement on your property. So what we get into is what we were talking about, is this like confined feeding operation, in the structure. It goes to the use of that. Now, your typical agricultural, the majority of the time here in Dearborn County, is not going to be a confined feeding operation out of a structure. But we do have regulations of how far a building can be from a property line. That's already in place, that was already in place. So I guess I don't know.
Well, I guess what I'm just trying to say, it does sound like there's an understanding that if you're operating under one zoning considered instead of what is actually zoned at that point in time. I'm just trying to make sure that, basically, in other words, you're still free to do everything that you used to do.
As long as it's
Before the
within,
zoning was
like,
changed.
what they're talking about is the farming here in Dearborn County. Now, that we could get into a generalization as far as farming operations. I'm not gonna say any kind of use in an agricultural district is a permitted use, because it may not be.
Well, may not, yeah, but I mean, if it falls under what is supposedly acceptable uses.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Yeah, because, I mean, some of the reasons why I have some of these questions is that I might decide to invest in some more property in the area to do some of these activities that I'm talking about, so I'm just trying to
Yep,
understand.
and actually, call the office at any point, but if you're looking at property and have a particular property, we can be more than willing to help you and answer those questions as they get more specific to property.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Greg Highland. I live on Highland Road. I am the fifth generation of Highlands to live in North Dearborn County, Kelso Township. About 200 years ago, my great-great-great-grandfather immigrated from Ireland to Kelso Township. And whoever said you can't please all the people all the time was talking about zoning in Dearborn County. I would just like to say I've been there since meetings with Mark McCormick up at the St. Leon American Legion post, and I think Nicole Daly has done yeoman's work of putting this puzzle together and trying to please a lot of people, and has done a pretty doggone good job. And I think the citizenry of Dearborn County is better off today with the 2024 zoning code than they were with the 1965 code, which deserves a vote of thanks from the citizens.
Thank you for that. And thank you for acknowledging Nicole, we feel the same way. Anyone else? If not, I think I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Right.
Meeting adjourned. Mr. Fry, how are you, sir?
I want to talk to you all about something.